Hi, I'm Karen McCarthy, and it's time to Karen-ize. Today's Friday, and that's when we do some crafting, and I'm kind of starting to get ready for spring. Took down all of my gingerbread stuff that I keep up through December, January, and a little into February. Have my Valentine's Day put away and St. Patrick's Day out, but I needed something to put on my breakfast nook table. I usually have some kind of a tray that I put the salt and pepper and the napkin holder and that kind of thing on it, just to keep it kind of up off the table. So I'm going to make a new one that's going to take me through summer. I may have one that I made last year for summer, but I can't remember, but at least through spring. So I'm just using an old cookie sheet that someone gave me. A lot of times I use the ones from Dollar Tree, but this one's pretty sturdy. It's actually a nice cookie sheet. Maybe I shouldn't use it, I don't know. But I'm going to take it, and I love dragonflies, and in the spring I love the color yellow because it's so bright and cheerful after winter. So I have this fabric. I don't know if you can see the dragonfly print on it. It's kind of subtle, but I actually have this on my desk in my office with a glass sheet over the top. I'm going to use this on the cookie sheet. So I am going to put you down without making you dizzy, hopefully. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. First, I want to make sure that you're in frame. So I've got my Mod Podge, and I just use a foam brush. And what I'm going to do is just kind of cut the fabric a little bit bigger than I need. Not a whole lot, because then I've got a lot more of this fabric to use for something else. I'm going to fold it under so that you can't see any rough edges. So I want it a little bit bigger than, and I always just tear so I get it straight. If you've never decoupaged with fabric before, it's so easy. I can't stand having anything on my wrists while I'm crafting, so let me roll my sleeves up real quick. Anybody else like that? It's like I have a fuzzy robe that my husband got me for Valentine's Day, and I love it, but I can't stay in it if I have anything to do because I can't handle all that bulk. Anyway, so I'm going to just kind of think about if I need to do anything because of the corners, but I'm just going to kind of work it into the position I want. I also have these little beads that I'm going to glue on afterwards. I'll just glue one in each corner and have little feet so it's up off of the table just a little bit. Not going to paint them or anything because, well, I like the color, and plus you don't really see them that much. My Mod Podge is getting low. Let me just pour some out here. That's probably too much. Okay, I'm going to just cover this with a nice coat. Not real thick, not real thin. After it dries, I'll put another coat over the top. I won't show you that because, you know, it's just watching me paint another coat over the top. But I will give you a picture of the finished project after it dries. So if you've never used Mod Podge before, when I was a kid, I always said Mod Podge. It will look white, but it dries clear. So you're not going to see any of it when you paint it over the top or anything like that. It just gives it kind of a protective coating, especially since this is going to be in the kitchen. And who knows if it gets something wet spilled on it or something. It just gives it that nice protective coat. So we'll just put a nice even coat all over it. Got a little bit too much right there, so I'm going to spread it out a little. Okay, let me move the Mod Podge out of the way and bring my material. This is going to be so pretty, so nice and bright. Okay, and then I'm just going to use a piece of a wrap that something came in so I don't get it all over my hands. This is really useful when you're doing Mod Podge on something like a napkin or something that's more fragile, because our hands tend to kind of stick to it. And with the fabric, it could make it wrinkly or something, but with the napkin or something more fragile, it could tear it. So just kind of always use that. Okay, I'm going to use my... Got long fingernails now, I forget. I can't use my fingernails, but I'm just going to use my knuckles to just get everything into the corners nicely and down to the edge so that there's no, I don't know what you call it, floating fabric. fabric that's not really attached to the cookie sheet. And then I'm going to trim this down a little bit. There's dragonflies on here. I don't know if you could see them. I couldn't tell, but oh, they're so cute. Just makes me smile when I see yellow fabric with dragonflies on it, or flowers, or any of those springy things. I'm going to save these fabric strips because I may just someday use this to make like a rag wreath or something. These fabric strips would be perfect for that. And you're not wasting anything. Okay, let me make sure everything is pushed in. Those corners want to pull out. It's not going to be a disaster if they are pulled out. It's just nicer if they are not. Okay, and then I put it on the edge already, so I'm just going to go around and get that down on the edge. I don't really care if there's a couple of little wrinkles, but I want to avoid too many of them. All right, now I'm going to take one side at a time. Put some Mod Podge here on the side, so it's going to kind of go underneath and have a nice finished edge. This is not super even, but I can go back after it's dry and after I put that second coat on and just trim that up a little bit. It's not going to be important. You won't see it, but if you're a little perfectionist like I tend to be, you just want it looking nice, even if you can't see it. Whoops, let me get a bit more here. I made that a little bit short, so as long as it just flips under the edge, I'll be okay. And that is not staying on there very well. So what I might have to do is do that after a while. Let the rest of it kind of set up, and then I'll have a little bit more stability when I'm trying to maneuver that short piece. I always think that you can tell what it originally was because I use pizza pans or I use these cookie sheets, and it's funny because when people come to my house and they're like, oh, that's the cutest thing, they never know what it was made out of. So, we tend to know because we made it. But other people, especially if you find little handles that you can put on here, which I might be looking for something like that. I don't know. It looks even cuter when you have a little handle on the sides. So let's see if we can get that all down. Whoops, see it's starting to pull up here, so I have to be kind of careful. Yeah, I'm going to wait until this part dries and then work on those sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a coat on top, and that will help really get that stable. We have to go run some errands, and by the time I get back, this will be nice and dry and I can finish it up. So I'm just putting just an even coat. Doesn't have to be super thick or anything. I'm going to use my handle to push that back in there. I know I have one where the corners kind of popped out a little bit, but you can't really tell when you're using it unless you're looking really close. But again, I just like things to be as nice as I can. I think I've told you before, I think it's the Navajo tradition to leave some kind of an error in your art, and that makes it so the evil spirits cannot stay in your artwork. So I always say I have no evil spirits in my artwork because there's always something wrong. Something that's not perfect, but it always looks okay. Anyway, it's like if you ever try to do something and you think, oh, it does not look like the original. Just like I got a little hair there. We don't want that. If I can get it up. There we go. If you take the original away and then look at your project, like I do that when I'm doing acrylic painting videos, I'm always frustrated with mine until I take it away from the original picture and put it on my wall and then look at it, and 9 times out of 10, I'm like, oh, that does look okay. Does it look exactly like theirs? No. well, there's another, I wonder where all these little hairs are coming from. Might be from some of the fur I was working with. Okay, now I'm just gonna take this pen and just make sure that all these edges are pushed in. All right, and then put a little bit on the sides here. All right, now I'm gonna do my errands and we'll finish when I get back. Okay, so I have got the tray finished. I did go ahead and just finish the underside. There was no reason to have you watch that. I just put some Mod Podge on and smoothed it on. And now I have the 4 little beads that I'm going to use as legs, just to get it off the table just a little bit. And I'm going to put them just far enough back that you really aren't going to see them, because I don't really want to paint them or anything. So I will just put those on real quick. And then I'm going to turn it over. And I'd had some little wooden finials, I guess you would call it, and I just had some, whoops, I got glue strings. I had some copper, just kind of an embossing thing that I just put on it, and then I put Mod Podge over the top just to try to make them look a little bit like a metal handle. I've measured halfway and put a little mark so I know where to glue these. Let me grab something and just wipe that little bit of glue that tried to seep out. Grab something that does not have fur on it. That was not very smart. Fortunately, I didn't glue any of it to the handle, I guess. Not quite sure what to call it. All right, and there we're done. So I will put a picture next of what this looks like when it is on my table. Thanks for watching, and thank you again if you have helped my channel grow by subscribing, giving a thumbs up, or making a comment. I sure appreciate it. Have a great one.